Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
I do not have any coffee creamer. I'm a little perturbed about that.
Go to the store. 2 minutes away.
Well, I don't know. You don't know where I live.
And Gal is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm before coffee, so I'm with you.
I already had a cup. I'm fine. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by VMix Software, DudeInIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Nick, why is it so hot? Or why does it feel so hot?
High dew points and high humidity.
Well, is there something? Can somebody dial it down? Do you have any connections?
No, I mean, I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of people. I'm a big deal, but not enough to turn the, not enough to control humidity and dew point.
It's amazing. It's. You look at the thermometer and it says 89. You go outside, you feel like you're in 100.
The high temperature here for the last, I believe we're going on 11 days has been 90 degrees every single day.
Feels like
100. Beautiful though. Beautiful beach weather. I'll tell you that. I was chilling out on the beach for a couple hours yesterday afternoon. Fantastic. But Amnon.
Yeah, it's
July.
It's July
in North.
I know.
It's July in North Carolina, and next month will be August in North Carolina.
Yeah, and really, I think so far we've been real lucky. I mean, it was really nice and cool in the morning. It was low humidity. We spent a lot of days outside by the fish pond. So I no, it's not complaining. You just want a little bit more of it. Anyway. So what's going on? What's happening computer-wise?
Yeah, I got something to share.
Yeah.
I sent the link to you guys.
Right.
So
Yes.
Yeah. We talked in the past of different solutions for remote control, alternatives to stuff like TeamViewer. Up until recently, the only thing I've been using was AnyDesk. It was free, completely free to use. And their free offering, while lacking some features like an address book or something like that, you can still build like a list of favorites. And as long as you keep track of the machines that you need to connect to, it works very, very good. So I still recommend that. But if you're looking for something that you have complete control over, there's a self-hosted management system. Sounds daunting, but it's actually pretty easy to set up. By self-hosted, it means that you need to make it accessible from anywhere on the internet, because it's not going to go through any third-party server like AnyDesk or TeamViewer. It's not the connection. The connection broker is not going to be that external system. It's going to be one of your own. And when you hook up to it, you can hook machines, Windows machines, Linux machines, Mac machines, even mobile machines, Android. You install a small agent on them. There are the different types of agents, and the most common one will be a background agent, one that once the system is on, connects to your server, reports back, says, "Hey, I'm alive, everything's working," and you get a web interface. You don't have to install anything. You can, but you don't have to install anything from wherever you want to access. You access to a web interface, and you open your machine. So right now, I go to my server. I type the address. I put in the password. It also has two-factor authentication, so there's that extra step of security around it. It's all behind HTTPS, so everything's encrypted. And once I'm in, 2 clicks, and I'm in any machine that I've hooked up to it. Installation is really easy. Complete open source project, complete self-hosted, complete control over where, who, and what you connect to. Developed by a guy who is working. It seems like he's an Intel engineer focusing on remote control, remote access, and control and management of machines. It seems like while this project, it doesn't have the Intel logo, it definitely has some backing, because it seems like this is like part of his job, and it has a very active community of there's a lot of discussion in Reddit and um, on the issue site. It seems like the project is very active. So, and there's multiple people working on it. So it seems like he has a team to do the work. Definitely give that a look. It's Mesh Central. And let me type in the address. So I'll make sure that I'm not sending people to the wrong place. Yeah, meshcentral.com. It has a very early 2000 systems look, right? So I can't say it's the most pleasing on the eye system, but I'm telling you, it is one of the most versatile one available, completely free, completely open source, very, very interesting. Highly recommend you take a look at it if you have more than 2 or 3 machines you manage remotely. I think Spence would love this one. And so there's a YouTube channel with a lot of sessions that the guy in charge of it makes and explains how to use it and what's the logic behind it. And so very good, and still active. There's still videos like a few weeks ago. Very intriguing. Nick, if you were in IT, I would say you should spin that up again.
What is it called?
Mesh Central, MESH Central. I'll post it in chat in a moment. Okay.
Now I'm going to make another recommendation, not to damper your recommendation, but if that is the idea of self-hosted is a bit much, but you're still looking to get away from AnyDesk or TeamViewer or one of these other ones, dwservice.net is an open source hosted version of, it looks very similar to this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually somewhat of a fork, to be honest with you, of that system.
Talk about it.
I talked about it on the show a whole bunch. It's just it's a self-hosted, cloud-based, open source remote access system. I mean, there's not a whole lot to go into with it. It's a different alternative to TeamViewer or AnyDesk and whatever the other ones are.
Well, keep talking because I'm fixing Facebook.
Okay. Keep talking because Amnon's fixing
What
Facebook.
what was going with updates this week? I know.
I don't know. I didn't have any problems.
Well,
Windows
I think
up.
one of the feature updates or the long one that been lurking, I think it finally kicked in on machines you'd not necessarily do it manually, because I know both machines after a reboot, I had to go through the privacy wizard and all that crap. But I didn't experience anything other than that.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that this week. But I haven't delayed any updates recently, so I'm not sure I would have anyway.
Okay. Oh, Facebook is up. That's weird.
Internet doesn't want to play nice with you today.
No, the internet's not. Something happened apparently at night because I see that the audio stream started 8 hours ago. That's not normal.
Well, that's because we never stop talking. What else? I've been playing with DNS internally because I run all a few
Ugh.
services. Oh yeah,
Get that
But
word
I
out
think
of
I
your mouth.
but I think I figured out a way that I'm finally happy with. I'm finally not chasing DNS entries and host files and stuff like that.
So you're doing internal.
Do
You have your own DNS server?
I need an internal DNS server because I run self-hosted services inside my home, not outside on a cloud. Then, in order for because my network is behind the NAT, right? So there's different addresses internally and externally. Then I need an internal server that will send me to the right IP.
You need host. You need something to
when I
do host names for you.
Yes. Well, not only host names, but also anything that has to do with, but yeah, basically host name. Now, the moment I define those host names on the external, on the internet, right, on a DNS server outside, then any internal query needs to be answered internally with the internal address. Otherwise, I can't access. Because when you try to go out over NAT from inside,
Yeah.
things start to get messy. So I've been using AdGuard. There's an alternative also called Pi-hole. These
I've heard of AdGuard.
Yeah, so AdGuard and Pi-hole are two systems, basically DNS systems that sit inside your network. You point all of your devices through them, and they do DNS filtering by providing the answers for known either malicious sites or ad aggregators, and they return different answers depending on the rules. And because their behavior is DNS based, right? They also do DNS serving. So
well, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but what you could do is you have a domain already hosted somewhere, a public domain with DNS.
Right.
You could create an A record that says, cameras.gosdomain.com. And if you have the record be your internal IP address, it will resolve internally.
But that means that when I'm outside of home, I can't access it. I need it
That's
to be
all.
accessible.
Well, so yes, but I'm saying in terms of your internal, like if you just need to access these systems internally, you can create A records pointed to local IP addresses, and it should work.
That will work. That will work.
Okay.
But the thing is, I need these systems to be accessible internally and externally. There's a reverse proxy that sits inside inside my network.
Okay.
And when certain requests come from outside, they are served. And internally, I also need to access that same reverse proxy, right? But with an internal IP.
Mm.
So that's where trouble starts, because then if I'm not, so I've solved only one half of my issues by that, because there's another part, and that's the part that I think I finally got solved. I haven't tested yet, so I'm still playing with it. So one problem is I have a NAT, I have a NAT private network, right? A NATed private network. And so everything that works there, I needed to work with internal IP. I got that solved finally. But my problem is the next step is I'm going to have a separate subnet just for Internet of Things, right? Just for those little devices. I don't want them to be part of my network, but they still need to be able to access that reverse proxy internally, because it is going to talk over API points of certain things with the internal network, with a server that's in the internal network. So I'm going to need to do some extra thing. And now, by everything that I've set up, I can use Edgard, for example. I can just spin up another instance of it and make sure that the second Internet of Things subnet has a DNS of its own. I have my internal network has a DNS of its own. I'm pretty much, it's the first time for me, because I've never been an IT systems guy. I have been supporting IT system guys since forever, but I've never been my own. I've never managed a complex system like this on my own, and so now I'm in a point where I'm not going to only have one DNS server running inside my network. I'm going to have two, so it's going to be an interesting run.
That sounds like a train wreck. I hate DNS.
It's terrible.
It's I think it's just trying and search. I mean, look, from you saying something like that you never managed. And look, you're doing the home you're doing the home assistant. You're doing a lot of stuff at home on your network that nobody that I know does. I mean, and these are not simple things. So
I'm not saying it's not simple. What I'm saying is, right, I understand the theory perfectly.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I'm doing all of this in practice.
That's fine.
Right? And I have supported systems that were designed to be like this. So I came from the support side to analyze things on my professional, on my professional career.
Right.
But this is the first time that I need from scratch to build something. And basically, it's a patch on a patch on a patch on a patch. And it's the first time I'm taking a step back and I'm trying to understand the design and build it and design it correctly. And that's why I'm saying it's first time for me. There's a lot of, I've read a lot of words, but it's the first time I'm reading this sentence, right? It's like,
well,
oh yeah.
Did you see what Jason is telling you in the chat? Dirtbag is saying, I can set you up with some internal DNS for a nominal fee.
Yeah, I see that.
Hey, he said you can check out nip.io. I don't know.
That
Nip it in the bud. It's
I have good and a good external DNS service, so that that part is good.
now here and Nick, you know the problem is always DNS, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Always.
like I'm kind of down in the dirt right now, just not feeling good. And
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's because of DNS. Yeah.
DNS. Yep.
A little
Um,
sad.
mhm.
You know, that's also the reason I don't have any freaking coffee creamer.
Yeah, that's right.
Freaking DNS,
DNS.
always causing problems. Yeah.
How would a external dynamic DNS work for that?
For
That
what?
has nothing to do with it.
It's internal. Your
Nothing.
internal IPs are never changing. Well, they're not changing if you do your IP correctly.
Right. Well, it's not.
But
So two different things, right? The fact that they have DNS in their name, that's fine. Dynamic DNS is just a small aspect of a DNS server. Dynamic
right.
DNS means if an IP changes, we just need to change the record, and that works. That I mean, my IP isn't permanent. It has changed at least twice since I've used the
Mhm.
on the line that I'm using. So and that works for me. That's not a problem. You use a mixture of I mean, what you're going to update is equivalent to an A record. Today, there's a new um, definition called DYN
Yeah.
record, which is basically an A record that has no promises around it. And so
Promises.
what I update is the A
Great
record,
song.
and there's a lot of C name records just pointing to the A record, and that does that work. And it works pretty similar inside my internal network. It's just it needs to answer different answers. So same questions. It's just if it's coming to the internal DNS, then the answers needs to be different than what
If it's
comes
coming
out
from
from the
outside.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll figure it out pretty quick knowing you.
Well, I figured it out. It took me a whole weekend last weekend, like literally the entire 2 days. I was working every time. It, I it's it's it has become that when I sit in front of the machine, I'm already I'm already tired. I'm already exhausted before I even begin because I need to get into the mode of okay, what's going on here? And the thing is that after I finish this entire thing, I'm going to need to do exactly the same thing at Sarid's because his network is pretty similar.
But
And
at that
so,
point, it'll be just
yeah, at
practicing.
that point, it's going to be
Yeah.
a bit easier,
Right.
but only I think I'll need to just go over here to him because doing it remotely, it's going to be a pain.
Yeah.
Networking remotely, it is nerve wracking.
I I went Friday to change my doctor's telephone system, not telephone system, telephone VoIP provider from
Okay.
VoIPO to ANVEO because it is cheaper and it's a lot more reliable. Knock on wood. I've never done it. I mean, I did it here, but it was always add on and add on and add on. For some reason, they don't have any document that walks you through how to set it up, how to set the OB high device, and all these things. I mean, it would be really nice if there was a document. I sat there and I got lost. So I called the office. I called ANVEO, and Dennis answered, and I told him what I was doing. He said, "Okay." let's start from the beginning and I'll walk you through it. After we finished, a light clicked and I said, I should have wrote all that stuff down. I told him, I said, we need to do this again. And I'm going to write down sort of like a document for you to post on the website so people will know how to do this. It'll make your life a lot easier. The guy spent almost an hour with me. He put me on hold and answered somebody and came back but the thing worked beautifully. Talking about remote, you cannot make outgoing calls unless you have 911 configured or E911.
Huh?
And when we tried to configure them,
that's an FC. That is an FCC rule. For you to be able to make an outgoing phone call, you need to have through any phone service, VoIP service, you have to have E911 set up. They're mandated to require E911 service. Right. So God forbid there's a mass shooting in your place and somebody picks up a phone and dials 911. They can
they
respond.
need to know where you are exactly.
Yeah. So if it's a legitimate voice, no, it doesn't matter. If it's
I don't have 911.
Yes, you do.
I have a OBI. No, I have an OBI, and I cannot.
Who's your provider?
Google Voice.
Google Voice has got 911. It's because it's your Google account.
No, it says clearly you cannot make emergency calls on it.
Okay. So you're correct on that. Because they don't allow that. Correct. So it won't work. If you dial 911, it won't go anywhere.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to use your cell phone.
Yeah, but this is just. I mean, I put the landline. The whole reason I'm using OBI is because I don't want to pay for a landline.
Yeah,
I want the convenience, but I don't want to pay for a landline, and I do have alternatives. So,
well, with a service like
with a business, I understand, but
no, it's not a business. It's the same. Residential or business is the same with them and with VoIPO and with a lot of those voice over IP providers.
Google Voice is a little bit different because it's not a SIP,
right?
I think.
Yeah,
so
this is SIP, right?
But those guys are absolutely regulated by the FCC in terms of what they have to provide. And you have to pay for it.
It's $1.50 a month.
Yeah,
that's why I'm using OBI and Google Voice because I don't pay anything.
Well, I mean,
and I bought that OBI 2013.
Yeah, and it's worked.
Still running, still working. Everything's good, right? The moment they won't, then I need to figure out what. But right now, they are the completely free offering.
So looking at Google right now, they are not E911 certified, meaning that they're not under that regulatory group.
I mean, I'm gonna take a fork here a second and say, when we had a Google Voice account here in the very beginning of streaming, that's what I used for calling in. But the problem was that when you're on a call and somebody else calls in, it actually dropped the first call and allowed the second call to get online. Does this still happen?
No, never happened to me.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about the end
2008,
of the 90s, beginning of 2000. And that's why I dropped it. But anyway, to go back, so
Google starts 2004.
No, what are you talking about? Google started when the 97?
98. You're right.
98. Yeah.
No, but Google Voice is like a really late. It was called Call Central or something like that. Grand Central, and they bought it, right? So that's a late adoption.
I always remember it as Google Voice because I mean I still have something stuck somewhere here that says G. Oh yeah, the sticker on the computer. It said G Voice. So anyway, to have an account with any voice over IP provider, you have to have 911, E911, and without it, you can make outgoing calls. You can call in. So when we were setting it up, you actually go in and you type in the location of where it is, and you give it a name and the address and who it is and everything, and it comes back and says not covered. And I try again and not covered. So Dennis is saying something is wrong here. That I know it's covered. So we decided finally, because he was cutting over from VoIPO, where he had 3 lines, to ANVEO, where he was going to have only 2 lines. He didn't need the 3rd line. We decided, okay, leave it like this. Hold on a second.
Do 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 do
There you
do
go.
do do do.
Every time I feel like something is coming down in my nose, I'm afraid it's blood. And so I need to.
Hey, welcome
Check
to
it.
my world, my friend.
Yeah,
3 times
yeah.
last night when I was out hanging out at bars. Nothing better than sitting at a bar with a bloody nose. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And it wasn't even a good story. It's not like I got in a fight with some guy over a girl. Just sitting there like if you're gonna get a bloody nose at a bar, at least have it be worth it, right? Me, I'm
Yeah,
just sitting
somebody
there
said next time
minding
move your
yeah.
head out of the way of the fist.
Yeah, minding my own business and my nose is bleeding. If I'm gonna at least let me give something worth fighting for.
It's the first time that it happened last night that I just woke up. Actually, the second time, thinking my nose is stopped up, and it was filled, and right away ran to the sink. Anyway, so we figured there is a new OB High with 2 lines that's connected to ANVEO, and let's leave the second VoIPO, so in case they need to make calls out, they use that line. Okay. Well, I asked Dennis, I said, so when is it going to be fixed, you think? He said, I already filed it. It's probably going to be fixed today, but we're going to have to work on it Monday morning. I said, okay. So I told the doctor, he said, oh, no big deal. We have the 3rd line. Yesterday, I said, you know what? I'm going to try it. Since it is remote, I go into their service from his office. I said, well, I can go to his office, to his account from home here.
Yeah, cloud.
So
it's a cloud
yeah.
portal.
So I went in and I set up 911, and sure enough, everything went fine.
Boom.
So I don't have to walk him Friday morning. I don't have to go there Friday morning, and it's nice to have something like that. And go ahead.
I am very happy with my ANVEO find.
Yeah, and you know what
they are a phenomenal VoIP provider. They really, really are.
Absolutely.
They're so cheap. The feature set is unreal.
Unreal.
Oh, you like tinkering around with Home Assistant? You should see the ANVEO call routing stuff that you can do. It's completely
the flowing, call
flowing.
Yeah,
I mean, you can flow the hell out of phone calls. It's amazing what you can do. It's a very cool system. Their website looks like it was built in the mid-90s, but their VoIP service is phenomenal.
And I learned, I was going to set him up with ObiTalk, which is cheap. It's like $80-some a year. And you have all these minutes. And he was asking me, how many minutes do they use to call out and all that? And we figured out, forget about ObiTalk. Just go with a straight ANVEO account that doesn't cost anything by the month, but it costs by the minute. But all incoming are free.
Yeah, but ObiTalk doesn't exist anymore.
Yes, it does. What do you mean?
Go to the site.
I did it Friday morning when I was setting it up before I called him. What happened when you go to obitalk.com? You have to have it because that's the only way you can register an OB High.
No, I have an OB High.
Yeah, and it has to be registered with them to be certain. Not
Yeah, the
configured.
way that Google Voice works through the OB-Hi is through OB Talk.
Yeah. Are you saying you going? I mean, there may be a problem with Obitalk right now. You can go
No,
in.
there's a banner of
Oh,
something,
that's
maybe
no. The banner is about extras. If you
okay.
read it, it's talking about some extras that they are not going to accept anymore. Extras. I don't. I never knew what extras
Not
were.
only accept, they have canceled and they will
Yeah.
refund anybody that has
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
I don't know what the extras were.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I said, I never
Yeah.
use
That's fine.
their service. I only use voice.
Yeah.
So
That's fine. That's okay. A lot of people do that. Google Voice. As a matter of fact, when you buy the OB-Hi, the Polycom, it says with Google Voice. I mean,
yeah,
it has nothing
they're
to
the
do
only
with
ones.
what?
That's if there's something that bums me is that only OB-Hi has Google Voice support. So if they
Really?
decide for some reason to if they decide to drop it, then I need to figure out another hardware option, right?
That's interesting. You mean you cannot use any other
There is no other
TA?
system that supports Google
Wow,
Voice.
interesting. So yeah,
None that
so
I could find.
so
Right.
what we decided, I mean, I was saying, yeah, but Dennis, I mean, by the minute, he said, Amnon, wait a second. They said that they may talk about half an hour a day, an hour, making calls out. It's a cent a minute. You talk 100 minutes, it's $1. You talk 1,000 minutes, it's $10. And,
Yep.
I said, oh, yeah, I never thought about it that way. So I said, okay, here, do it, and we'll see if you're making up. If it's okay for you to use it this way, then we'll do it. If not, then we can go to the. But the problem is with, with OB Talk, they have special plans that, and the one that I have is gives you 1,000 outgoing minutes. It's before I knew that you can do this. I mean, I have one line that I hardly make any calls out with. I said, shoot, instead of paying 80 some dollars a year, I can just do it on the free side. And he said, when the time comes, we'll switch you. It is phenomenal. It is unbelievable. And you have, I mean, the thing that why I fell for it off the bat, right off the bat, is the fact that call flow, you set it up. That's why when you call Delta Force now, it says press 1 to continue. If you are a new user, I mean, a new caller, they'll say press 1 to continue. That eliminated all the telemarketers. Well, I can't say. I mean, I may get a couple a week. And then you go and you just put them on a blacklist. That's it. But it is nice and clean. No crank calls. And if you want to, I mean, I don't think you need it, is you use it almost as a PBX. You can say if you press 1, it will ring Gal's phone. If you press 2, it will ring this. If you press 3, it'll ring that. And it's all through the program the app that they have on the cloud. It's
I wonder,
amazing.
do they offer international numbers?
Yes.
Yes, and 800 numbers. You can purchase 800 numbers
Yeah.
through them too. which is
If
cool.
they offer an Israeli number, they might be a very good choice for us.
I never looked into it, but there is. I mean, you can go to ANVEO.com and look
Yeah,
at
I'll check
phone
them out.
numbers. Just, I mean, you have to click for consumers or for business.
Yeah.
And you can see there
Israel.
under
They
phone
do
number.
Israel, yeah.
And I mean, to get a regular phone number, it costs, even in the States. But I'm sure it costs something every month. They hate.
It does, yeah. It costs $2 a month for the unlimited number, and that allows you to get the free calls, the unlimited calling coming in.
Yeah.
For Israel, it's only $7 a month for that.
So it's
Yeah.
It's a great service.
it's
It really
yes.
is.
And the best thing about it is I switched over when VoIPO. I don't remember when it was when VoIPO went down for about a month.
Yeah, they were in pretty bad disarray for a
Bad. I think
while.
it was 2 years ago, something like that. It never ever went down with ANVEO. I mean, that whole time, I mean, the doctor would call me and say, "Amnon, it's down again." I said, "Is it your internet or is it VoIP?" He said, "No." He said, "The internet works okay." So you know that it's VoIP. So every now and then it still goes down. And I told him, and this is when he said, "Amnon, okay, I'm ready. I want you to switch me. I can't work with this." And you do get two lines with this. It's 2 SIP lines. I mean, you can port a number, and the second line does not have a number. But if you are on the first line and somebody dials you, it will ring the second line. Or you can always use the second line to dial out. So it's neat. Even
Kyle,
for
check out that link I just posted. That's the they've got a screenshot of what their call flow looks like. This is a very extreme example of it, but it gives a really good
Yep.
It is the call flow. You're right, Em. The call flow is for all intents and purposes a PBX.
Yeah, it is.
It has all of the rules and features that
Yep.
that a physical PBX,
And it's all drag and drop. It's
free.
Yeah, and it's free. It's really, really, really nice. I mean, my call flow is pretty not very complicated, but it is kind of
So
complicated.
you've got your setup, so you can. The way that you have your setup is you've got a list of numbers that call you frequently, and they bypass the IVR. Correct?
Anybody,
So
yes, anybody that you add to your contact as a friend does not get that press 1 to continue.
So when I call Amnon, I don't listen to that. I just ring
Right.
straight through to his phone because
Yes.
he knows it's a good number,
Exactly.
which is pretty cool.
Yep. He did not want this. He said that's probably not going to be very nice to our patients. I said, yeah, but you can add them, and he can still add them
Well,
even
for a
without
business,
it.
I think every business should have an IVR. That's not
Yeah.
even a question.
Yeah, but what I told him, I said, look, here, you don't have to have that feature right now, but what you do, and I showed him how to add a caller to the friends list, to the white list. I said, you can just add them, and maybe in 6 months, you put that thing in place. And at that point, these people will never have to hear it, but new ones will. And I'm sure you're going to get, or maybe I said, you want to wait a year until all the patients call you during 1 year, they will, and then add it. I said, oh yeah, okay. But for me, it's a lifesaver, really. It works really nice. And I know what you're talking about, Gal. Google Voice is free. Jason is using Google Voice. A lot of people that I know use
I use Google Voice.
Yeah. But if you're looking for full-featured voice over IP that's not expensive, it's great. It's really great. And I don't know anybody that has that IVR.
Well, let me say this. It can be very expensive. You can add feature. If you need advanced features, it will do that. It will be more expensive if you add those.
Correct.
But for majority of users, it is inexpensive. But it can, which is good. If you want an 800 number, if you want some of these advanced voicemail features, you can make it be as expensive as you want, which is good.
Yeah, and I was gonna. I told Dennis when we did it. He said, "So we'll pick up the business. The start. They have free. They have starter, I think, or something like that. It's like 6 something a month." And he said, "No, no, no, no. Pick up the free. It's the free is just a name. Pick up the free and see how that works." So that's exactly what we did. But it's yeah, I highly, highly recommend it. And for somebody who likes to tinker with this is beautiful because there's so many things you can do with it. I mean, I'm probably not using 1% of the options.
You are not.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Nick, what kind of internet speed do you have? Yeah, downloading.
I think I have 300 or 400.
300 or 400.
Yeah.
Gal?
Currently on a 500 one.
500.
Just because they booted me from the
Yeah.
100. I didn't need it.
Well, we are in for an information revolution. Engineers in Japan just shattered the world record for the fastest internet speed, achieving a data transmission rate of 319 terabits per second. 319 terabits. We're talking 500 megabits.
Great for them.
What?
Great for them.
Yeah. According to a paper presented at the International Conference on Optical Fiber Communication in June, the new record was made on a line of fibers more than 1,800 miles long. And crucially, it is compatible with modern day cable infrastructure. This could literally change everything. So they don't need anything new in the infrastructure if it's modern. They need new modem. I wonder what their modem looks like. But
I mean, it's great, but it's probably going to make things, I don't know, eventually cheaper for ISPs and stuff like that. But who needs it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we need it on a personal machine.
No, I don't even think in data centers that that rate would be useful. I mean, that amount of you know, at both ends of that, you've got a device that's having to deal with that data. For example, if you're talking file transfers, I don't care how many CPU cores, and you can have a terabyte of RAM in your computer, the fastest NVMe drives, you can't write data that fast. So you're like
that's because your hard drives are not connected with that line.
Well, correct. Your hard drives do not. Yeah. Well, actually, the hard drives I have actually sit in my SATA bay, my PCI bays, and actually have connections right on my hard drives. They bypass the CPU and everything. I write data directly to the drive with a coax cable. I screw it in, and I get data directly to my hard drive.
So you see, you can update from a coax to optical, and you're going to get.
But that data rate is so, like, yeah, there's nothing that
didn't we have optical hard drives? It was called CD.
Yeah,
CD. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, technically, it's it's technically a hard drive, I guess.
20x.
But I mean, it's a cool number, but not useful in not useful for the next 20 years, I would guess. No computer could decode or transfer. No computer could take in that data that quick.
Right.
Well, I mean, you're talking about research, right? And so
yeah, who knows
when you're talking about research, you're also talking about implementations like quantum computing
Right.
for complex mathematical.
Yeah. They didn't talk anything about what.
Yeah. So, but you are talking about the need to increase the bandwidth eventually.
Oh,
Who will use this? At this point, it's research only. We'll see in the future. Hey, I want to download the internet to my brain. Slink.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm finding more and more that other than uploading the shows to YouTube and to the archive, I said, what's the big deal of having
I
a,
was
a gig?
people that have listened to this show for a while, you remember I was a little would be an understatement. I was very salty with what was going on with my AT&T.
Right.
In at the time, because I was paying for the service, and it wasn't the reason I moved here. Let me not blow it out of proportion. But when I was looking for property, that was a big thing. I was like, oh, I really would like fiber service. But now that I've not had it for I've been in the house a year this week. So 8 months or something, 7 months. You're right, Amnon. Like
Yeah.
As long as you have a decent connection, it doesn't really.
And I do. And it's just like, Infection would upload a lot quicker, but it only takes 15 minutes to upload anyway. Yeah. And then during that 15 minutes, I'm getting the website ready, compiling the show notes. It's not like I'm sitting there for 15 minutes watching the water boil.
Right.
So it really just doesn't matter.
Alan is asking.
So whenever the Spectrum guy in the Walmart approaches you and has,
don't even get me started with that bullshit. Every time. Yeah. And it's like, I already have your service. Well, what about our TV? I was like, I'm already your customer and you're pissing me off. Leave me the fuck alone.
Yep.
I'm already your customer. I'm already paying you. Leave me alone. If I wanted your TV service, I'd already have it. Leave me alone. That is not a good. I already do not like your company because Spectrum is, an evil ISP. I don't care how young and attractive you are. I'm not buying your TV service. It doesn't matter. I don't want it. Leave me alone.
I mean, we still get mail, not email, mail, and those door hangers from Google.
Yeah, so do I.
From Google saying, "Hey,
I get them from Spectrum.
Fiber is available in your neighborhood."
Yeah,
we already have it. Yeah,
I get their internets. Well, okay. So the way that works is, on the mailing side, Google sends out direct mail to an entire zip code.
Right.
So it's not addressed to you; it's addressed to the residents. So, yeah, that's just bulk mail in general. But yes, very frustrating.
What a waste!
It's not a waste; it's direct mail. Direct mail is pennies, and it's for them to say mail everything to a zip code versus going through and picking out the people that already have the service. It would cost them more in man hours to do that than it is to just mail the entire zip code.
That is incorrect. You can just opt out.
What do you mean?
Oh, you didn't know? Okay. So there's a form you fill, basically. There's a website that you can fill it, and that will be valid for, I don't remember if it's a year or 5 years, after 5 years. Or there's a form you just print out from that website and you send it via regular mail, and that's for life.
To who?
It's a government appointed third entity.
Are you talking about like
the opt-out list?
Are you talking about do not call list?
So it's very similar to the do not call. Yeah. There's a.
They don't pay attention. They don't pay attention to that anymore.
What are you talking about? It works. I don't get junk mail in my email. I get very little. Those who don't comply, but most of it is
okay.
I get my mail.
Yeah, if you find out, that's interesting.
No, that's what I'm using. I'm using
No,
it
no.
since I.
If you find out where to go to
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
I'll send the link in the
Yeah.
chat
Yeah,
in a moment,
please.
and I'll mention it on the
Okay.
air.
In the meantime, Alan is asking me what is the typical monthly cost of this service, the ANVEO. And by the way, Alan, I mean, they have offices in the States, in Canada, and in Germany. They are part of Deutsche Telekom.
Deutsche Phone.
They That's what I was talking about. That I opted for, if you go to ANVEO, right at the top, when you go to plans and pricing, you'll see something about Obitalk. If you make a lot of outgoing calls, I mean, what I did, because I didn't know, I subscribed to their Just Right plan, which is in the middle. And that's comes to about $80 a year. And I never had to pay anything extra. I'm probably paying more than what I'm using. But so do the math. It's 80 or $89 a year. And for Canada, it's actually cheaper. They have special rates for Canada, which I was surprised. But yeah, just go to anveo.com and click on consumer and then plans, prices and plans or something like that. And you'll see at the top in the box, it says something about Obitalk. Okay. Now we were talking about speed of hard drives and all that. Backblaze, which is a big backup of off-site backup service like Carbonite, like many others, is saying over the last 14 years, we have worked diligently to keep our costs low and pass our saving on to customers. We've invested in deduplication, compression, and other technologies to continually optimize our storage platform and drive our costs down. Savings which we pass on to our customers in the form of storing more data for the same price. However, the average backup size stored by computer backup customers, and these are mainly home users, they call it, has spiked 15% over just the last 2 years. Additionally, not only have component prices not falling at traditional rates, but recently electronic components that we rely on to provide our service have actually increased in price. The combination of these two trends, along with our desire to continue investing in providing a great service, is driving the need to modestly increase our prices. The new monthly plan is now $7 instead of $6.50 or $6.30, something like that, while the yearly plan will set you back by $70. I use them, and it's worth every penny, and there's no limit to what you can back up, and it is reliable. It's like almost always, not almost, it's always there. I've got it now for the last few years, and there's the section there where you say, let me know if I don't have a backup for how many days. And I have it at 1, and I never got a notice. And it doesn't just do it once a day, it does it all the time. If you save a file, if you modify a file, a few minutes later, when it sees idle time, it'll back it up. I think that's how all of them are working. I don't know how Carbonite is as far as the prices now, but
I'm in the process of renewing my subscription right now for Carbonite.
did they tell you how much it was going to be?
I'm looking. You know,
Oh.
I use a password manager, so I don't have to keep track of passwords, right? Yet
Yeah.
somehow every time I log into Carbonite, my password doesn't work. I am not
Jeez.
exaggerating. Every single time I have to do a password reset. Every time.
Wow. And are you updating it in the password manager?
Of course.
Gee, that's interesting.
Somehow it just always
Something is out of whack.
They
Yeah.
might be blocking the password if it's not being used for a long time.
So what I'm going to do is
I don't
copy the saved password I have right now in my password manager. Reset my password. Success. Wow, what a novel system.
It worked.
Of course. This is what I did last time too.
You don't get in touch with them. You don't
Well,
you don't really even need to get online to do anything. It's
no, but my card I was using for Carbonite,
yeah,
I don't
no.
have anymore.
What I'm
so-
saying, this is in answer to Gal. You don't really do stuff. I mean, I
No, that's
hardly
what I'm
ever
saying.
do
If
it,
you
and the
don't
password.
log in for a year, then they
They
6
don't.
months, and
They
they
don't do
just
that.
block the
Yeah.
password. It's a safer way for you, basically.
That would be nice, but no, that's not the situation.
So it looks like Carbonite's about $80 a year.
Interesting.
How
Okay.
much is Backblaze?
70.
Yeah.
And it just went up. It just went up 70.
So it doesn't matter how many computers you back up there?
You
or
cannot. You
it's
can
just per
only
computer?
no. You can only back up one computer.
Yeah, Carbonite's the same.
Yeah, but what you can do, and what I do, and a lot of other people do, is if you have some batch files and you create a folder on that particular computer that you're backing up, you can copy important parts from other computers to that computer, and at that
Yeah.
point, it backs it up.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, you have to pay more if you want to back up external drives like USB drives.
Carbonite does the same thing
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm actually using I'm paying for this using privacy.com, funny enough.
Oh yeah, that's the one with to be safe with credit cards. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just so I set $100 yearly limit on the Carbonite card, and it's $80 a year, so I should be good to go.
Okay, so going back to our discussion, I got all the links.
Yeah.
So there's 3 links you need to know about.
Okay.
DMAchoice.org. Those manage the junk mail stuff, the soliciting mails in your mailbox. There's optoutprescreen.com. Those are about pre-screening for credit cards and credit offers. And so by registering there, you'll stop getting those offers. And there's the National Do Not Call Registry at donotcall.gov. And they are about, about limiting robocalls and stuff.
Right.
While they are not as effective as it's supposed to be, because there's a lot of bad players in that market, it still reduces the amount.
Yes, it does. You're right.
Yeah.
You're
So with DMA Choice, I can tell you that since we've registered, the drop was dramatic.
Okay.
About a month after we registered, right? The mailbox finally wasn't just full with unnecessary stuff.
Yeah.
There's still 1 or 2 that slip in, and usually the reasoning is it comes from a different source. It comes from some other registry you're listed on, but most of the time it's a lot easier on the mailbox. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So it looks like you create an account.
Yeah, you create an account. You get there's also where's that? There's a manual form you print out and send. But the easiest way is probably creating an account.
Like Carbonite's website is totally screwed up. Won't even let me put a new credit card in. Okay. Well.
Yeah. Um,
Could
is-
also be ad blocker that's doing it. So
you can also what?
said it might also be the ad blocker that's doing it.
Oh yeah. True.
Okay, so yeah, my
It-
Carbonite is $83 a year.
And that's unlimited.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I've
again,
had Carbonite for
years.
definitely years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I can find out exactly.
Gallus.
I have had Carbonite since 2016, so 5 years.
The other reason, and I don't know how Carbonite is today. The other reason that I switched to Backblaze was the speed.
Oh, yeah.
They are a lot faster in accepting. I mean, you can upload a lot faster than you can to Carbonite. I mean,
Yeah, that's
today,
really only an issue though at the beginning, right?
well, I mean, on ongoing also. I mean, you don't want to
Yeah,
be
but I mean your computer's on all the time.
correct.
So,
Yeah.
so Gal, I'm signing up for this website. It costs $2.
DMA choice.
Yeah, it says the price for this opt-out service, which will last 10 years, is $2.
It's $2 for
I
one
don't
time.
remember doing that, so I'll need to check.
It's a
Yeah.
one-time
Maybe
$2
something-
or $2 a year.
$2,
Says 10
$2,
years.
$2 for 10 years. Yeah,
Oh,
which is fine.
yeah.
But
I'll need to check.
And as far as opt out, what is it? Opt out pre-screen that you said for credit
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
A better way to do that to stop credit cards and all that is to actually put a freeze on your credit cards with the 3 bureaus. It doesn't cost. You go in and you put a freeze, and nobody can. I mean, the downside of it is that nobody
You
can
need to
check.
unfreeze it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you can unfreeze it. You can go in.
Yeah. You'll need to unfreeze
Yes.
it when you need to.
Yeah.
And the most absurd thing about it is when you ask whoever you're talking with which credit union
Yeah.
do you use it, they don't know.
They don't. Some of them
Yeah.
do, and
Yeah,
they.
some of them do, but
But some of them, you're
most
right.
of them don't know.
Like when
Yeah,
I had
so
my experience with T-Mobile that wanted all 3, and I said, "Why?" But yeah, and the do not call. You're right. It's very it reduces, but it doesn't stop. It should stop, and
well,
they're
it
not
should.
enforcing.
Look,
what are they going to do?
I don't know.
The fact
Go
that the
round up some
law,
Indian call center?
and not only that, is the fact that the law allows, right? Allows junk mail and says you can go and opt out.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that it's not an opt-in rule,
Right.
that pisses me off every time. So it's
Yeah.
You ever seen that episode of Seinfeld where Kramer tries to cancel his mail service? He's like, I want out, man. Like, you can't get out of the mail. He's like, I'm done. No more mail. That is a great, he gets in an argument with the postmaster. That is a classic episode of Seinfeld. He's done with the system.
Well,
Cancel his mail.
all right.
All right. I got something.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sure Gal saw this. A big
No, not.
player in the video game space
Mm-hmm.
has announced a new device. Everybody that is people that play video games on
Oh,
PC
yeah,
are
yeah,
familiar
yeah.
with Steam.
Right.
They have just introduced, I'm going to show it now, what is looking, well, what is a direct competitor to Nintendo's Switch product. It's called the Steamdeck, and it's a handheld computer that is made by Valve, which is the parent company for Steam, and it looks to bring PC gaming into a handheld form in a way that a lot of other companies have tried to do, but because of costs, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to purchase these devices. They've got a pretty lucrative deal here, and they're lining up. Essentially, Nintendo is the only game in town right now for mobile, handheld outside of a phone. So Valve is throwing their hat into this, and these devices hopefully will be out the end of this year into early next year, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
So a full on, it's running their Steam, that's running their third generation Steam OS system, and
Scroll back where the person was holding it. No, keep going. Next one. Oh no, yeah, no. The next one, next. Yeah. So I don't know about the Switch, but does that look like it's bigger, smaller?
it is
same?
bigger. It is definitely bigger than the Switch.
Oh,
It's, as you can see, it's got a lot more buttons. It's actually got 2 track pads, which are interesting, making mouse use with a joystick is kind of a pain in the ass. But it's got 2 tactile track pads on each side, plus 2 joysticks. It's got bumper buttons on the back. It's a pretty fancy looking device. Pricing wise,
yeah.
the base unit is $399.
And how much is the Switch?
The Switch, I think. Let me see
300.
right now.
$299.
Okay.
Is it right now? Is that
And there's a $199
A new one.
version without the that doesn't go
$299.
with the cradle and all that. Yeah.
So yeah, the
$299.
Switch Lite, the OLED Switch, which is their new one, is going to be, that is $349. That's the newest edition of the Switch, the OLED version that's available in October of this year. So it's $50 more than the Nintendo Switch. This base version is kind of bullshit, though. The storage is not sufficient enough, and it's eMMC memory, so it's significantly slower. The real version that people should look at here is the $256, $529 version, which is
remember PC games, right? Decent ones,
are
1
huge.
to 5 gigabytes are the smallest ones, right? And and the big ones they can go to 60 gigabytes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The game I'm playing right now, Doom 2019, is 78 gigabytes installed on my hard drive or on my SSD. So the one I was be looking at is the the 256 gig, $529 version. All of them do have SD card expansion, so you can get away with this one. But the note is that SD card storage versus NVMe SSD storage is a significant difference. Now that does depend on the quality of SD card that you buy. So it's interesting. Valve, obviously, they've got popular VR system, so they've been in the hardware space for a little while now. They had a device called the Steam Link that was out maybe 6 or 7 years ago that didn't really take off like they anticipated. But now they're entering a market.
I bought one for $5.
Yeah, so did I. I've got 3 of them in the box still.
Never used
but they're entering a market where they're really is no competition. I mean, it's pretty much Nintendo is the only one making something in this form factor that's mainstream. So it'll be interesting to see what the response is. I don't really know how I feel about it right now. I don't know if I would buy. I kind of want to buy one just more of to have it than anything else, which is a huge waste of $500. Um, but it seems like a very, very cool device.
But you're into gaming, so it's not a waste.
It is though. I mean,
It's gonna be a waste if it's not gonna use it.
which is what I do with my Nintendo Switch. I haven't touched my Switch since I moved. I haven't touched my Switch in over a year since I moved here. It's been in the dock for a year. I just don't play it.
Why?
Because I don't have the time. There's no games I want to play on it.
Okay. No, yeah.
So it's an interest, and that's why I'm leaning more maybe towards the $399 version, so I could have it. And if I'm not going to be using it on a daily basis, the slower storage speed might not be the end of the world. But nevertheless, a very cool device, and taking PC gaming to a platform in which it's never really been playable before, which is very cool.
When I saw the story, the first thing that came to mind is, are they going to be sued by Elgato now? Because Elgato has Streamdeck.
Correct.
And this is Steamdeck. It's kind of close.
They are. No, they definitely will not be sued by Elgato.
Yeah.
Steam has been along way longer than Elgato been calling things stream.
Oh. Something that's more local. We all heard about SAS. SAS. It's a company here. Broadcom is in talks to buy SAS. That's coming from the Wall Street Journal. In the latest move by the acquisitive technology giant to beef up its enterprise software. A deal which would value closely held SAS, and I think SAS is Goodman from WRL, he still owns it, in the range of $15 to $20 billion. Could be finalized in the coming weeks, assuming the talks don't fall apart. That number is so-called enterprise value, some people say, which typically includes assumed debt and is adjusted for cash on the target's balance sheet. Broadcom has a market value of nearly $200 billion after its shares have risen around 50% over the past year. So, yeah, SAS is an old company here, and I think they're doing statistical.
They do everything.
Oh, okay. Yep. They even have a field where people play soccer and football.
They are one of the best employers out here. I wonder, and they're a private company, so I wonder if selling to Broadcom will change that. Because over here locally, right?
Yeah,
that's the only thing that people are interested in SAS is the quality of the employment. There's a lot of perks. There's a lot of so yeah.
They pay good. It's a good company to work for. Windows 11. That's interesting. Microsoft took the wraps off Windows 11 recently, and we expect the new OS to arrive later this year. Upgrading to a new version of Windows is often a painful process, and in the past, you were stuck even if the new software ruined your workflow. It's different this time. Microsoft says you'll be able to go back to Windows 10 if you don't like Windows 11. You'll only have 10 days to decide, though. So within 10 days, you can reverse it.
Yeah, they offered that with Windows 10 as well, no?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I think at this
They-
point they got us all trained to, okay, yeah, it changes and it changes again and it changes again and it changes again. So okay,
well,
we'll
Windows
get used to
10,
it.
Windows 10 was around for what, 4 years now? Like a long time, right?
Yeah,
I
longer.
think it's been
Windows
longer than
10.
that.
Let's see. Yeah,
Because I upgraded to Windows 10 when I was still living in New York.
Windows
I think it's
10,
5.
2015.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
6 years.
so
So
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And it didn't really change. I mean, there were bit additions and stuff, but the interface hasn't changed in the past 6 years.
It's not the matter of interface look changes, which it did some. It's where things reside. I mean, suddenly you used to go there and do it. Oh, it's not there anymore. They moved
In the
it.
past 6 years?
No.
Since Windows 10? No.
From 7 to 10.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. They're going from one OS to the next.
Yeah, but any software device. I mean, it
Well,
happens with.
I know, but that's where
If you have resolved to use software, then you should be already trained. If not, then you need to change your life views.
oh,
This isn't a political discussion. Nobody will be able to change this after it's out.
all right. Uh, any of you guys heard about pocket casts?
Pocket Cast?
Pocket.
Oh, the app?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh God, what about them?
Okay, so it's a Pocket Cast has a new owner.
Oh, okay.
Automatic with double T,
Okay.
which runs WordPress.com and recently purchased Tumblr.
Okay.
It announced today that it's acquired Pocket Casts, the
Very cool.
well-regarded podcast app. The blog post announcing the purchase didn't offer much in the way of preview, but it did tease potential future integrations.
I use Pocket Cast is my main podcast app. I believe you actually have to pay for it. At least you used to. I want to say it was maybe $5 to purchase it. And very happy with it. And they've got the cool thing about Pocket Casts is this is before the day of Spotify offering podcasts.
Yeah.
They have a web player, and you paid, I think, $15 one time for access to the web player. And the cool thing with that is that it syncs your times across your devices. So if when you're in your car, you listen on your phone, you get to the office and you want to continue listening to the same podcast from your computer, you just log onto the website and it's got your playback time. So that's why I've used it. Now a lot of apps offer that feature, but they've been offering this for a long time. They've offered
Interesting.
that. Yeah, it's a cool app. They're a little I'm not happy with their politics, but it's a good app.
There's
apparently it's free now, so they've changed it.
Well, it's free, but the plus, the one you talked about, syncing everything and all that, that's $10 a year. There's a free, little known software that does podcasts. I wouldn't say perfectly, okay-ish. Called Plex.
Yeah.
And it syncs across everything. So if you're already using that and you've listened to podcasts from time to time, Plex is okay. I'm not saying it's like perfect, but it's free. And it works.
Yeah.
It works for me. So yeah. And it syncs across all of the devices and stuff. So definitely.
Yeah, they have been offering this. God, I've been using Pocket Cast since probably 2014 or 15. It's been a long time. And they were one of the first. But yeah, it looks you used to have to pay for the app. It looks like the app is free now, but as Gal mentioned, the Plus service, which I think I paid for lifetime when they first offered it, was obviously free.
So you're probably gonna stick with them and never look back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a reason to.
Yeah.
It costs me nothing, and it works well. I've got all my stuff set up the way I like it. They offer a lot of a lot of other apps offer this stuff now, but they offer the getting rid of the ads automatically early on. They
Yeah.
offered time shifting early on. Just a lot of features that regular apps did not have, especially on iOS. Compared to the Apple Podcast app, which has got a lot of those features now. Sleep timer, things that a lot of apps just did not have. So
I think one of the problems with any type of app like that, I mean, including Plex and including anything else, right? Is if you've already started using it for a while, switching is always going to be a pain because you already have this, you know, this library of collection and something that represents you in a very, very specific way. And making something, a new app, your own again is going to be painful. Yeah. With music streaming systems, right? It's your playlists and your collections and your likes and stuff. And there are services today that help you shift. I switched from Spotify to YouTube Music a couple of months ago, and one of the concerns is I had a family plan on Spotify. Now I have a family plan on the YouTube Music app, and so shifting, convincing my son that it'll be easy to move. Right? He said, "Yeah, but what am I gonna do now about all my playlists and my subscriptions and stuff?" And I told him, Sure, let's figure that out." And there's a couple of services. I think the most successful or the most prominent, the most complex one is Sound Uh, I'll spell it in a second, and it allows you to, yeah, it's Sound and then a double IZ, Sound IIZ, and you launch the web app, you connect to your services, and then you can grab a playlist from YouTube and put it on Spotify, or grab a playlist from Spotify and it'll do its best to find it on YouTube, etc. Works very well. They have a free offering which has some limitations. For us, it was enough. So definitely something nice. What I do like about it, and I use it often, not for that. I use it to copy playlists from others because that's usually something services do not provide. So let's say I see a nice YouTube playlist, but there are a couple of things that I want to change about it. I cannot do that in YouTube. I cannot tell YouTube, hey, copy that playlist over to me and I'll do something. I can just follow it. So here I can just give it the link. It'll copy the playlist to my account and then I can edit it and do whatever I want. So
Nice.
um, yeah, if you use any of those services, and they have a ton, the YouTube Music I see here, of course, Apple's service, Tidal, um, and a bunch of European and Indian and what knows you services around there. There's a whole lot, and you can use that to control your playlists a lot better.
Well, you were talking about running an app that also works on your PC. Like when we use Signal or WhatsApp, you have the PC app that you can do everything from the PC. You were just
Right.
mentioning it that there's something that you can use, like was it Spotify? I wasn't anyway. I found out, and I'm seeing a pattern. Do you remember some months ago I was saying that I'm getting blue screen on Windows 10, and I thought it was something that had to
A
do.
sound driver or something, yeah.
Well, I'm seeing it more and more. And it turns, well, in my mind, it turns out that it's when I run right now the Signal app on the PC, the web app.
Interesting. It's not a
Every
web app.
time I do it, I'm guaranteed a couple of hours later, blue screen. And if I don't use it, which I don't use it much now because I carry the phone with me and I do everything with the phone finally, everything is fine. But the other day, I don't know why, I needed to think, capture a video or something or picture, and it was hard doing with the phone. So I said, I'll do it. Sure enough, a couple hours later, bang.
Interesting. So
So it's
I'm without a phone now for a week.
Yeah.
Right. So it should be headed this week back home. So and
you got it open all the
so
time.
so let's say WhatsApp, for example. WhatsApp does not work without your phone. So
Oh, that's
if you
right.
don't,
Yeah.
if you don't have a phone, you can't use the web interface for WhatsApp. Most other services work without the phone, not a problem. With Signal, you just need the phone to activate
Right.
the web. It's not a web application. Because it's a whole blown desktop app that you need to install. Has to do with the way they see security and all that. And so I had it installed on one, and not only that, basically because my phone completely died, it dropped in the pool, and it went swimming with me in the pool. I will not be able to extract the backups that I have, and you can only do a backup from the phone. So I know that once I get the new phone, then I'm going to need to invalidate the desktop app, and the desktop app is going to be my only backup of all chats. So I was thinking, how am I going to work around this? And I think I found an interesting solution, and it's a solution that I'm going to use going forward. Right? I can't save my past at this point. The desktop app can run on Windows, Mac, or Linux, and you've heard me talk about containers and Docker and stuff like that. So I found a way of running a desktop application, a Linux desktop application that needs a graphical UI, and have that application be accessible over a web interface. And so I am basically going to create my own web-based signal that I can access from my own server, and it's always going to be active on my server, right? So my server is also going to be sort of my online signal backup, because it is going to receive everything, and so I'll be able to go there and refer to whatever it collected. So and this is going to be a solution for. So one of the things that I'm still struggling is, and I think I found a solution. I haven't finalized it. I haven't tested it, but I need that remote desktop web interface. I need it to support audio properly, right? Incoming and outgoing.
Okay.
So the moment I figure that out, then I'll definitely be happy to share, like a GitHub link of, hey, you can use this.
So you'll be able to make
Docker
calls.
configuration to do it.
You'll be able to make calls just like you do with the phone app.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this solution is it's not only going to allow me to work. Let's say I connect from work, and or from home, I basically work with the same desktop application. So they're completely right up to the history is going to be exactly the same, because it's going to be the same application. I'll be able to open a tablet and point to it, because and if that works, then I'm also going to do it with a very nice application called Ferdy. Uh, Nick, you remember in the past we talked about an application called Roblox or Roblox, I think, right?
Roblox, the game?
No, Rambox.
Oh, Rambox. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Rambox. Yeah, I'm sorry I forgot the name. It's just been a while since I've been using it. After using Rambox, there were some issues specifically for me, and they were using a GPL license, which meant my workplace didn't approve it or something like that. And I was looking for an alternative. I found an application called Ferdi, short for Ferdinand, Ferdi, Ferdi. Getferdi.com is the website, and it is it looks exactly like Rambox. It's actually a fork of another open source but closed support type application. Don't remember its name right now. France. And so Ferdi is like this aggregator. It's like this desktop application that aggregates communication. It's geared towards communication, but it can be any website, and basically creates like these tabs for your special communication sites. And it also knows to query those sites for unread messages and stuff, and give you a notification properly. So you get like this very streamlined, very mobile-like communication solution in one desktop app. And hosting something like that on a web accessible interface with audio support might be also a very, very interesting solution. So I'll have everything. I will be able to access stuff like WhatsApp from a tablet, right? Doing that. This is something I'll be happy to share once I figure out all the kinks and make it work. And so then with a simple command line on Linux, you could host something like that. And then once you connect it to all of your communication needs, you can access it over the web. So it's
Nice.
it's a project right now. Yeah.
And talking about Linux, Microsoft now has its very own honest to goodness general purpose Linux distribution. Common base Linux. Huh?
They've been working on it for a while. They had a kernel for a while back.
Yeah. It's called Mariner.
Okay.
And just like any Linux distro, you can download it and run it yourself. Microsoft didn't make a big fuss about releasing CBL Mariner. It quietly released the code on GitHub, and anyone can use it. Indeed, Juan Manuel Rey, a Microsoft Senior Program Manager for Azure VMware, recently published a guide on how to build an ISO CBL Mariner image. Before this, if you were a Linux expert with a spot of work, you could run it. But now, thanks to Ray, anyone with a bit of Linux skill can do it. It's interesting that Microsoft is into it.
Well, it's the Azure's offering that made them go there.
Yeah.
Windows might be a fantastic system for end users. It might be very comfortable for admins to work with, but managing it remotely, it is a resource hog. If it needs to share resources, it doesn't do it very well. And so, yeah, having them create a Linux distro is interesting. I think it's going to be very interesting going forward to see, and I'm talking like 5-10 years forward, going to see whether this is going to sip into their on-premises solutions as well. So if they'll have instead of selling customers another Windows server with a SQL server, right?
They'll
Is they'll
sell.
say, well, you can also have this as the Mariner
Yeah.
server running SQL server, because they do have a SQL server for Linux. So this is or an Exchange running completely on Linux, and that the setup is going to be easy because it's going to use stuff like Docker containers or something like that. It's going forward in the infrastructure of computing. It is very interesting because this behemoth that has converted, it's like converting a religion, right? It's like
Converting
yeah,
religion. Yeah.
yeah. It's a bit like that when you think about it, right? It's like there is only one way to do things, and now there is only two ways to do things. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And something else here. London listed cybersecurity firm Avast is in advanced talks with US rival Norton Lifetalk about a merger that would create a clear leader in consumer security software. Both companies confirmed the talks late on Wednesday, with Avast saying an offer would be in cash and shares. Although it added there was no certainty a deal will be agreed. Avast, which was founded and based in Prague, Czech Republic, is a pioneer of freemium software, whereas basic applications are free and subscribers pay for premium features. Its Avast and AVG branded desktop and mobile software had more than 435 million active users at the end of 2020. About 18 of them was me from years ago, of which 16.5 million are paying, not including. The shift to home working during COVID-19 spurred demand for its desktop products like antivirus software, and it recorded 7.1% organic growth in adjusted billings to $922 million last year. Still, too big, slows down your computer. I don't recommend it anymore. Been a long time. I'm talking about AVG. Avast is still, I think, but I think they own it now or something. Yeah. They also own CCleaner, if you didn't know that.
Don't touch CCleaner. There's an alternative. I'll get to you.
Okay, because I still use it to clean
Yeah, no.
files. Now,
I'll find it. I'll tell
you have Office 365, Nick?
Through work, yes.
How about you, God? No.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I use
Microsoft
it.
is putting Windows in the cloud. Windows 365 is a new service that will let businesses access cloud PCs from anywhere, streaming a version of Windows 10 or Windows 11 in a web browser. While virtualization and remote access to PCs has existed for more than a decade, Microsoft is betting on Windows 365 to offer cloud PCs to businesses just as they shift toward a mix of office and remote work. Windows 365 will work on any modern web browser or through Microsoft's remote desktop app, allowing users to access their cloud PC from a variety of services. Windows 365 provides an instant on boot experience, according to Microsoft General Manager for Microsoft 365. This instant access lets workers stream their Windows session with all of their same apps, tools, data, and settings across Macs, iPads, Linux machines, and Android devices. You can pick up right where you left off because the state of your cloud PC remains the same even when you switch devices. That is interesting. That everything is on I mean, if you're a Windows user, you can be on the cloud and have Office 365, Windows 365, and doesn't matter what device. Interesting.
I mean, it's a remote desktop basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love the name, Windows 365.
yeah, Amazon has been selling that for a long time now. It's called Amazon Workspaces.
Yep.
So it's the same
That's
thing.
true.
It's
Yeah, that's
basically
true.
a remote desktop. Yeah, it's just Microsoft offering it. It's funny how when a company, any company, right, they come up with a new product, their marketing always positions it as this is something brand new. It's just something new that we do.
It's
Others have
marketing.
been doing it around. Yeah.
Yeah.
You look at the way Apple unveils stuff, right? It's like this is the first time. It's the first time we've ever done it, right? But so yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And yes, I agree. Let's say with Apple, right? When they present it, it is probably the first time it is done this well, right? They're doing it very well and all that. But yeah, it's funny how the marketing you can hear when it's enthusiasm and you can hear when it's marketing. They do not sound the same, and that's they try to, but it never works for me. Anyway, the reason I said don't use CCleaner.
Yeah.
CCleaner, first of all, it's not open source. It's not
Right.
It's not. It's opaque. You don't really see what's going on behind the scene. In the past, they had issues with spyware and adware, and they've done excellent work. But there's no need for a tool like that to be closed. And so, BleachBeat is
this Nick is thinking the same thing that I'm thinking.
BleachBit.
It's a complete BleachBit.
Oh, you don't know about BleachBit, Gal?
Offered by the Clintons.
By the Hillary Clinton campaign. That's what erased all of her emails. BleachBit. Oh man.
Okay.
It obviously worked.
Yep. It's been an open source. I didn't know the political connection because I never followed politics that closely, the news. But it's an equivalent. It's a CCleaner open source alternative. It's been around for a long time, and definitely use something like that instead of something like CCleaner.
Does it have any of the features like CCleaner has, where you can uninstall programs and clean the
For
registry?
uninstalling programs, there is only one thing I recommend, and that's bulk wrap uninstaller.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, because
What
that
about
one?
Go ahead.
No, that one is so thorough. It's amazing.
Yeah, but it's kind of dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Switches, yes, but if you will use it by default as default, it is not dangerous. It is excellent.
What about registry cleaner?
Let me ask you a question. Hold on. I need to jump in. Why are we doing this anyway?
Why are we doing?
Why are we running CCleaner? Why are we doing registry cleanups? That stuff is just not relevant.
I don't know. I'm not using anything like that.
I do.
It's just not relevant.
I've got a bunch of stuff that's sitting all over the drive.
Yeah, but
that I don't need.
CCleaner's not checking the whole drive. It's just cleaning out the temp file, which Windows automatically does.
No. It does other other areas that we don't know about.
Okay.
Any
Yeah.
place that you think you don't know about,
Yeah.
right? That CCleaners cleans, it's usually irrelevant. That's
Well,
that's
I mean,
probably Nick's point, and that's my point.
it may be irrelevant, but if you go and you clear the temporary files
Yeah,
and
but temporary
then
files get cleaned automatically anyway.
yeah, and then run CCleaner, you will still get rid of megabytes of stuff.
I do not agree.
That's and I
I'm
never
sorry.
went into it.
That's not my experience.
Okay.
And I haven't run, so let's put it this way. On the machine I'm using, right, it's been running for a long time. I don't remember when I last installed it, but at least 2 years, okay? And so I've never run CCleaner or Beat Bleach or anything on this since then. And I'm pretty sure it won't clean anything that I'm unaware of.
Okay.
It's there's I mean,
Maybe it's all in
it'll
here.
remove a few. In the past, the Windows machines, they would slow down because of this crap, and you're right. Windows does that automatically. And I there's a lot of crap on your hard drive. There's a lot of crap on anybody's hard drive and
Mhm.
anybody's machine, right? But CCleaner will not touch any of that because it cannot know that it's crap. It's you that needs to make the decision. This is crap. It needs to go away. So, though, if you really want to keep your machine pristine, the way to do it is to come up with uh, a usability philosophy, right? Of things that will not need to last, they go here. Everything else goes here, right? And stuff like that. It's like not you're not going to need to be a librarian, but you need to be to separate your domains to stuff that you will not need to keep and stuff that you will need. And once you do that, it doesn't really matter. You just delete whatever uh, is in the temporary location for you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I do that a few times a day, but still, I find out that when I run CCleaner, which is like once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, boy. Anyway, okay, that's fine. That time of day,
Indeed.
indeed. Anything else anybody wants to mention? No? Going once? Going twice? Spence is working on a driveway to park his new RV. So he got some gravel, and today he rented a I guess like a little bulldozer that you walk behind, kind of like, with a blade to spread it. So that's why he's not here. All right. Gal, thank you. And Nick, thanks. And everybody in the chat. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Arlette and Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thanks everybody for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, Nick does his weekly radio show Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on WAAV Wilmington, 980 The Wave. And you can tell your Echo device, if you're not in Wilmington, to play 980 The Wave, and it will do it. And Tuesday at 7 p.m., Nick and Brian are doing the Infection podcast on Twitch for gamers, survival gaming. And that's Infection Podcast, one word, on Twitch. See you next week, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.